Tour Junkies.
What's going on, golf addicts? David Barnett here of the Tour Junkies, otherwise known as DB. Mr. Patrick H. Perry. Is that right? Is it H?
Right.
Is it Herbert? Yeah. Is it Herbert? What's your middle name?
What's my son's name?
Oh, Harrison. That's right. Mr. Patrick Harrison Perry joining me. He is my faithful sidekick. And if you're watching us live on YouTube, he has a ginormous white privilege visor hat on. So what's up, Pat? How you doing, buddy? What's the drink tonight? Love the polo, by the way. And welcome to everyone listening, and especially welcome to everyone joining in live on YouTube.
Well, yeah, I got a little vodka drink, transfusion. So, yeah.
You getting ready for spring? You ready for the days to get longer, spring to kick in?
I am. Been playing a little more golf lately.
I'm mixing it up a little bit tonight, Pat. I am drinking straight tequila on the rocks with an orange slice. That's one of my new favorites. Just gonna sip it tonight. Just sip it straight tequila on the rocks, little orange slice. By the way, if any listeners just want to send us something for being good to them, I will take Casamigos. A good Casamigos Reposado is something I'm really into right now. It's about to become. If it wasn't so expensive, it would be a regular podcast juice. But it is quite.
What is it per bottle? Like $50 a bottle?
For like the smaller bottle, like the mid-size Tito's bottle, not like the handle, but like an equivalent to that mid-size. It's like $38. It's stupid. Yeah. Anyway, hey Pat, tonight is the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am from lovely California. It's an event. It's on the calendar. It's not something we get super jacked up about, but nonetheless, here we are. You know what I mean? Like, you all right?
I thought I had a booger hanging out for a second there, and I was like, oh wait, we're on live YouTube. I need to make sure.
You want to go ahead and take care of that off screen here? You need to handle that. Anyway, what's up, everybody? You're gathering in on the YouTube channel. We appreciate that. Thanks for joining in. Well, you're going to get right to it here with the course breakdown, key stats, some strategy discussion with this format. We're going to talk through our picks, and we're excited tonight. We have our ending segment tonight is going to be just the tip. We're bringing that back. That was something we did in the fall. It was a lot of fun. Normally, we include something like a tip for betting on golf or for playing daily fantasy golf. So just a good little nugget, maybe something that we don't always cover on the show. So whether you're a beginner or intermediate, especially, you will likely benefit from that. So you're going to want to stick around for just the tip tonight. It's going to be a good one. But Pat, before we get out of the way, before we get into the course breakdown, the Nut Hut is officially live. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks. Goalby's Nut Hut is live. It is our online 24/7 chat room community on tourjunkies.com, where at any point you can log into the Nut Hut and communicate with fellow Nut Hut members of the Tour Junkies site, as well as me and Pat. Our boy Ben Little, who is the author of the Chalk Bomb and very much a very smart numbers nerd. He's way smarter than me and Pat. So if you think me and Pat are just dumb and you don't like our process because you're too intellectual, get in there and chat with Ben. He's an expert there. If you're really big into the European Tour, Ash Morrison, our European Tour guy, is going to be in there. It is going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to have scheduled chat sessions every single week, probably multiple times a week. Me and Pat are really excited about this. Pat, you've been doing this over on RotoGrinder's site for a couple of years now. We are done with that. If you were on the RotoGrinders chat room for the last couple of years, we've enjoyed it. Thank you, but we are out. So we're bringing it in-house. So, Pat, you're going to have to take taking your talents home. I'm excited about it. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. It's been something I've liked doing for RotoGrinders, but I'm very excited for this. The chat room is just fun. And I'm always Wednesday night. I'm going to pour me a few drinks, and You never know what you're going to get out
Yeah,
of me.
and
I'm
it's
gonna
our
give you some
website.
good information.
Like we could talk about whatever we want. So Roto Grinders, we really had to make sure we police ourselves, especially Pat. But now we can just talk about whatever we want. I mean, I'm sure golf's going to be a big topic, but we may talk about anything else. All kind of stuff. Some of the other benefits of joining the Nut Hut include a lifetime, as long as you're a member, discount in the Tour Junkies online store. You get a 20% discount on anything you buy in the Tour Junkies shop. You get, I'm excited about this, Pat. This will be fun. Siwoo Kim inspired us with this. If you're a member, once a month, you may request a video from either me or Pat, kind of cameo style, where we will make a video either for you or for a member of your family or a friend or somebody that you play golf with or against or whatever you want to do. Real golf, DFS, betting, relationship advice, whatever you want us to do. You tell us what you want, and we will make that video and email it to you. That is a benefit you get. I don't know if I would call it a benefit. I guess we're calling it a benefit.
Can I make a guess on this benefit?
Sure.
I think I'm going to end up getting more requests.
Yes, you are. I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. You're going to get, a big thing in the Nut Hut is, if not weekly, very frequently, we will share all of our inside information from our PGA Tour caddies and coaches in the Nut Hut chat on Wednesdays or as it comes to us. We can update you throughout the week as we hear things from players. Like, for example, Friday night after Joel Damon made his cut on Friday, miraculously, if people didn't see that, it was pretty miraculous that he made his cut.
It was amazing.
We were texting with Joel about that, and, had you been a member of the Nut Hut, we probably would have told you, hey, that's awesome that Joel made the cut on Friday, but you may not want to play him in a showdown slate because he doesn't really want to play golf right now. And so you would have known that, and maybe we would have saved you some money. You're also going to get first access to any events that we do, like meetups, golf tournaments, hospitality events at the tour that we're working with. It's going to be awesome. And then we also hope to bring some exclusive promo codes for even deeper discounts with future TJ sponsors. It's going to be a lot of fun. We just want a cool community. It's $10 a month for all of that, or $90 a year. That's it. It's very easy. You can cancel at any time and get your money back. It's super easy. We would love for you guys to join in. You can go to tourjunkies.com, click on Goalby's Nut Hut. You'll create an account, and you'll be logged in. It'll be a good time. I'm excited about it. Pat, do you have any other comments on the Nut Hut tonight?
No, that's all I got. But it's we've gotten to preview it. We've got a few people already on it today, and so I'm excited to get rolling with it.
Yeah, Matt is commenting in the YouTube chat. He's having trouble logging in. His email already exists. That is true. If you've ever ordered anything from us before, it actually used that email that you put in when you ordered. It uses that and gives you an account already. So just go in and do a reset on the password or use a different email address. So there you go. That's enough of the Nut Hut, Pat. I'm excited about it. We'll probably talk about that again. Let's get into the courses breakdown for yet another multi-course rotation Pro-Am event. And also Josh Kistler said the booger that was in your nose is now on your knuckle. So there you go. Clean knuckles. I can verify. Actually, clean knuckles. Good job.
I did have a cut on this knuckle.
Made you look.
Right here.
Made you look, I guess. All right.
Anyway, all right. So yeah, this is the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am this week in Monterey Peninsula, California. Yeah, 3 courses.
Did you forget where we were for a second? Are you good?
Yeah, I just was down for a second. I was feeling depressed about 3 courses for a second there. 156 players this week in the field. They will cut it after 54 holes, so they'll get 3 rounds again, just like we did a few weeks ago at a Pro-Am event, and it will be the top 60 in ties after the 54. Yeah, that is important to know after those 54 holes. Of course, you mentioned it. You got the Pro-Am narrative. You got some slow play, whatever. But let's just talk about the courses. Pebble Beach is obviously the main course, the one they will play twice if they make the cut on Sunday. It is a par 72. By the way, it played as a par 71 at the U.S. Open. So if you happen to kind of look back at the U.S. Open scorecard and those stats, the reason it did is because number 2 played as a par 5 instead of a par 5, which it will play this week. And did I say that right? Number 2 played as a par 4 but it
I
will
don't
play as a
remember.
par 5 this week anyway. 6,816 yards, so not very long. Look, this is a second shot. Golly, I need to get it together. I can't even talk. This is a second shot golf course. These fairways aren't that difficult to hit, but you've got to, you've got to be precise with your irons into these greens. The Pebble Beach has tiny, tiny greens, the smallest greens on tour. So it is going to be key. That makes strokes gained approach something you're definitely going to want to look at, and scrambling, because they're
Like
going to
the
miss these
size of
greens.
Shakira's reproductive
Shaking.
system we saw last night in the Super Bowl. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so you saw, like, especially and scrambling is going to be big here too. You saw, like, at the U.S. Open. Gary Woodland and Justin Rose just scrambled their asses off in that tournament, and they obviously, Gary Woodland won it. But these greens can be pretty tricky. They're not going to be running very fast. They'll be about 10.5 on the stump. I think that a lot of that is because of this is a pro-am and they just can't get it too quick. But they are kind of tricky, so definitely got to have experience on these Poana greens. Spyglass Hill is the other one they'll play at 7,035 yards. It's a par 72. Poana greens. By the way, all these have Poana greens, so I'm not going to mention that again. I think Spyglass is probably the most difficult, actually, or sneaky, maybe difficult
Yeah.
in this rotation. But all par 5s here played under par last year, and they're gettable. So I think that's where you're definitely going to be able to score. Look, we mentioned this the last time we had 3 courses. Instead of 12, you're actually going to have 11 shots on these par 5s, and you've got to be able to score. And the reason you only have 11 is because Monterey Peninsula is a weird just setup, as far as it's a par 34 on the front and a par 37 on the back, with 3 par 5s all on the back. But they're also ones that you can score on as well. Now these greens here at Monterey Peninsula, they actually tend to speed them up a little bit more. They'll be running around 12 on the step meter according to the PGA Tour site. So a little bit quicker on that course, but they got larger greens. They can tend to get them up a little bit quicker there. I think one thing I read, just looking at the leading up to the event this week, that I thought was interesting, is there has been 10 inches of rainfall from November 25th to December 31st, which has made the course much wetter than normal. So I think that makes it where you look at these greens, they're probably going to be a little softer than they might normally be. But I don't think the weather this week is going to call. There's not much rain, not much wind at all, pretty easy conditions. So they're going to be able to score on all 3 of these courses this week. I mentioned scrambling and stroke. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll come back.
I mentioned scrambling and strokes gained approach as important stats that I'm going to look at. Always course history and recent form, and definitely par 5 scoring as well. Past champions here, you had Mickelson last year, his 3rd win at this tournament. Ted Potter in 2018, Jordan Spieth in 17, Vaughn Taylor in 16, and Brandt Snedeker in 2015. DJ's back, by the way, and he has won this tournament twice, in 2009 and in 2010, and almost a couple other times recently. So he's obviously plays this course pretty well. So there you go. That is the course breakdown. Man, I hate freaking 3 courses. But
yeah. YouTube listener Daniel Johnson said, name 3 horrible things you'd prefer to do rather than experience yet another multi-course event. There's a lot of things. I would rather watch that Super Bowl halftime show again. I would rather listen to the guy that performed in the half show, Ali G. I would rather listen to him for 12 hours straight.
I thought that was Bad Bunny.
I'm pretty sure it was Ali G. I don't know. Maybe it was Bad Bunny. I'm pretty sure. It wasn't Bad Bunny.
No, Bad Bunny was in the show.
Was it him? I thought Bad Bunny was a black guy. Can somebody fact check that? I was going to say this about the weather. First of all, obviously we're sitting on the peninsula, so weather can change. Weather can definitely play a factor. So that's going to matter. Come Wednesday night, obviously, in the Nut Hut, we'll be talking through some of that, what we see, what we notice. But just looking at early predictions, it looks to be a cooler year to me. Like the temperatures are peaking at like 60. but in the morning you're going to be in your, they're going to be teeing off in the 40s, a little cooler temperatures. I think that's interesting. And when you
I don't
couple
know if it's
that,
necessarily cooler than normal, but
it's not.
I don't know. We don't live on the West Coast, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's always tends to be chilly. You always see these guys teeing off in the morning with their sweaters on, and then kind of shedding them in the afternoons. Maybe not, but it's not really calling for a whole lot of rain, and the wind is down from what I'm seeing. Like nothing higher than 8-9 miles an hour, which is now, like you said, what is it
F
they
me
call it?
running, mother. God. The fact that you knew a rapper that I didn't, that I wasn't aware of, is
Yeah, I thought
fucking
you were like
maddening.
about to. I thought you were about to shut the show down for a second. Like what? I mean,
It was Bad Bunny.
I know. I said it was Bad Bunny.
I am like so disappointed in myself right now. I could chug this whole tequila. I don't know. Anyway, God, it's very distracting. Yeah, the wind doesn't look to be a big deal except on Sunday. Sunday looks like it could get kind of gnarly. But we're gonna want to watch that because that, like I said, that can change very quickly. That can move to Saturday. I mean, God knows what it could do. But I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. I would like to know maybe we'll look that up before Wednesday night and talk through kind of some historical temperatures there. That feels cool to me. Plus, when you talk about how soft the course is because of all the rain, typically you look at this golf course and it's not. It does take bombers out of the hand. Like it's. I mean, take driver out of the hands of some of these long hitters. It's not a super long course, as you mentioned. Length isn't as much of an advantage. I still think that's definitely true, but I don't know. Like if it's playing a little cooler and if it's that soft, it may be an interesting contrarian kind of move come Wednesday night when you're setting DFS lineups to maybe look at some of the bombers that some people are overlooking or not interested in. So yeah, I agree with you on Spyglass. I think Spyglass is historically a little tougher than people think. I think between that and Pebble, they're very similar. We obviously know Monterey Peninsula is the easiest. So if you're looking at first round leader bets or showdown slates or anything like that, Monterey Peninsula is definitely the easiest, without a doubt, hands down. That's your easier golf course. So yeah, small greens.
I thought something that was funny is that, if you go and you can get this from the PGA Tour website, but you can get the statistics and kind of like just from the superintendents, like where what they think the stent meter is going to be and all that kind of stuff, and it'll give you average green, all these little things about the greens and everything, and they'll tell you how many water hazards are on the course. So for Pebble Beach, I love what they put. It says number of water hazards, and they don't give a number. It just says Pacific Ocean. There's no number, just Pacific Ocean.
Oh, that's nice. Just
Anyway,
the whole Pacific Ocean.
so yeah, you just got to watch out for that entire Pacific Ocean.
It's a nasty hazard. It'll grab a ball in a second. Yeah. Anyway, I think you hit on something important there for me too, and that's scrambling, being able to get up and down because these greens, some of them can be pretty small. So being able to get up and down, I do think is important. I looked at the strokes gained around the green recently over the last 24 rounds. I obviously looked at strokes gained putting on POA over the last 100 rounds, taking that long-term average. And then I looked at a little thing that I really like on Fantasy National. We're going to talk about Fantasy National a little bit, but when you build your model in Fantasy National, you can build in mixed conditions. So I actually, instead of just looking at course history alone, I looked at strokes gained ball striking. So that's strokes gained off the tee in addition to strokes gained approach, leaving out around the green. So just, hitting off the tee and your approach shots. I looked at strokes gained ball striking on Pebble Beach only over the last, 5 years. Since Pebble Beach is the only place you're going to actually get any strokes gained data because that's the only course with shot link. And then I looked at greens in regulation gained on Monterey Peninsula and Spyglass Hill because you do get that data over the last 5 years. Just kind of looking at tee to green, who looks comfortable here, who plays this place really well, tee to green. I think that's interesting and a cool feature of Fantasy National. And you can join Fantasy National right now. FantasyNational.com/TJ gets you 20% off the membership, weekly, monthly, or annual memberships. You pick. If you use the discount, you get the 20% off the monthly, and then you decide, man, this thing is awesome, I'm going to go ahead and get a year. Guess what? You still get the 20% off the year membership. So support the Tour Junkies. Go to fantasynational.com/TJ and sign up if you've not already. I know a ton of you have. I think more people have joined Fantasy National than almost anything else because of Tour Junkies. So I know a lot of you guys are on it. We've used it for years. Love Moose. He's doing great work over there. And I just talked to him today. He's got some sneaky new features coming out that I'm really excited about. So looking forward to that. So I think that about covers it, Pat. We ready to get into the picks here?
Yeah, I am ready.
I think we're gonna have some shockers. A little bit of shockers tonight. So obviously you got the Pro-Am format. We could talk about the fact that these are going to be long rounds, long days. You're going to have amateurs whacking it all over the place. So patience required. I think a lot of the guys that you see here that come often clearly don't mind it. I read some quotes earlier today of people that actually enjoy it, that kind of enjoy playing with the same Pro-Am partner every year and kind of enjoy the time, enjoy the laid-back atmosphere. I think there's definitely a question mark on a few guys whether they truly enjoy it or not. But, you're going to have long rounds. You're going to have the Pro-Am factor. That's definitely a thing to think about, to consider. But from DFS perspective, 6 of 6 is important, but you get less benefit out of 6 of 6 this week because you really only get that one extra round. And if you look at the weather right now, it looks pretty hairy on Sunday. If that stays the same, that may not benefit you all that. I mean, it's going to benefit you, but it's not going to have the same impact that getting 6 of 6 through a regular 36-hole cut event would give you. So for that reason, I definitely think being aggressive, I think, making some hard calls and plant your flag on some guys, be aggressive. There's a lot of value in the 7s and 6K. I think you can rock that. Now, clearly that means that your contrarian move is probably going to be to make a whole lineup with kind of the mid-price guys, which you can do. But I would just say, let's let the nuts hang a little bit. The Nut Hut is opening this week. Let's let the boys dangle and let's play some. Let's get real with it. You know what I mean? You agree?
Yeah, I do. I'd agree. I think this is a week where, and you'll probably notice it maybe in some of my picks, that I'm going to get a little more aggressive, and I'm going to take some risk on some guys, and they're not all guys that are going to be matching up course history, recent form, stats, all of that matches up. It's just that's probably not going to be the case for me. I'm going to kind of pick and choose a little bit here, and I'm going to go with my gut a little bit as well, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I think you can do that a little more in a tournament like this where you got 3 rounds. It's not quite like you get with a WGC event, like a shorter field, and they get 4 rounds and stuff like that. But I sometimes have a little bit of that mindset going into a week like this. So
yeah,
not full on, but just that's in the back of my mind.
So, and I mean, just look at guys who played well here in the past. I mean, Ted Potter Jr., Vaughn Taylor winning here. You can get long shot winners here. That's another thing to consider, both in DFS and betting in general. You can get long shot winners. I looked at a course history stat on strokes gained for players who have played at least 6 rounds at Pebble Beach, and guys in the top 10: Nate Lashley, Aaron Wise, Tim Wilkinson, Ryan Armour, Ted Potter. Guys like that can pop up and do well here. So take that into consideration when you're thinking about lineup construction, and just go from there. Personally, weeks like this annoy me, so I think we're on the record for that. I will likely take a little bit off the bankroll this week, and maybe save it for next week. I'm excited about next week, which I believe is the Genesis.
That's correct. At Riviera next week.
So do what you want. But let's get into it. We're going to give you 3 tournament plays in the 9K and above range, 1 cash lock and a fade. By the way, I just gotta say, I'm a little annoyed. I think I said this a couple weeks ago. We've had some really good picks so far this year. We've done well. Okay. And I don't get any. We don't get any of the chirping on Twitter. I don't understand it. All these other, I've got some FOMO here. We should get more love on Twitter if we nail it. You guys want to come at us if we fuck it up, but you don't want to do anything if we nail it. Give us some love. You know what I mean? Like I needed some affirmation on the Hovland call last week. Freaking, I looked at the $444 last week, the ownership. Victor Hovland was 15% owned, and Matt Wolff was 25% owned in the 444. So that's all your sharp money, your big money, and they both trunk slammed. Like give me a freaking break. Like let's if we do this right, give us some love, people. Tired of this. All right, let's get into it. Pat, I'm going to jump around here. I'm going to hit the chalk, and I'm going to go Jason Day and Brandt Snedeker to start it off for me. I like both. I love the records here. I love the around the green play here. Their ball striking at Pebble, their greens in regulation to Monterey Peninsula, and Spyglass are both very good over the last few years. Both excellent POA putters, and I like the price relative to the guys above them. So I'm going to start off with the chalk, and I'm going to go Jason Day and Snedeker. I'm going to go ahead and say Snedeker's going to be a cash lock for me. I'll eat that chalk. Clearly, this means that I don't really like as much the guys above him. Dustin Johnson will be my fade here at 11-6, coming home from Abu Dhabi in a huge time change. At 11-6, I think I'll pass. Like, obviously, DJ plays great here. He's comfortable here. I totally, see him finishing top 20, top 25. But in DFS, I'd want more than that out of DJ, and I'm not ready to commit to that yet. Coming off of Abu Dhabi, just not interested when I can get Day and Snedeker right there. Now, I moved through those quickly to get to this final play because I think it could be maybe a mind-blowing play. I can't remember the last time I recommended him, but I'm going to go ahead and play Jordan Spieth at $9,000. Yeah, I'm going to play Jordan Spieth at $9,000. Checks the box in putting over the last 100 rounds on POA. Checks the box in around the green over the last 24 rounds. Now, obviously, he doesn't check the box with his irons and approach lately. It's been quite poor. But best in the field in strokes gained, ball striking, and greens in regulation gained at this event over the last 4 or 5 years. Now, what's interesting is I looked last week at the Waste Management where he missed the cut, and I was surprised to see that his worst strokes gained category was putting last week. He lost nearly 3 strokes putting last week, which is a little unusual for Jordan.
I could have told you that just because I had him
I didn't have
best lineups. So.
I didn't have him. But he was dead neutral on approach, and he actually gained a stroke off the tee, which I think is rather shocking. The last time he gained, so since we've had strokes gained data, now he played 4 events in the fall that we had no strokes gained data. But the last event that he has gained strokes off the tee, Pat, was in July for the Open Championship. That was the last event he's gained strokes off the tee, and last week he gained 1 stroke at the Waste Management. I think that is an interesting thing to look at. Now, obviously, Jordan's ownership has dropped a lot lately, as we've seen him suck. But I do think it's interesting. Maybe this is a week that you get in a little early on Jordan. Maybe you're getting in before it hits. I don't know. Like, what do you think about Jordan's ownership and that play in general, as he is my final pick in this range in terms of a tournament play?
Well, I think that, for Jordan, especially, coming off a miscut, I don't know. I think his ownership's going to be low. It continues to be low, and nobody likes playing him right now, and they're not going to like him at that price. I think what worries me is I don't think he's going to play well on Pebble. I don't feel like that, but I feel like he could really play good on the other 2 courses. But I don't really like him on Pebble, especially with those small greens. And in his last 24 rounds at Pebble, only at Pebble, he is 17th in this field in ball striking at Pebble. I wonder though how much that skewed towards when he won a few years ago.
Okay.
Like when he was in the prime of his career and hitting the ball better than he has. Like if you took the last. If you took that number that you're looking at, because I can't do it right now, but if you took that and just went the last 2 years, or included the U.S. Open, although I don't know if I would include the U.S. Open.
I didn't include the U.S. Open.
The course played a lot different. They narrow those fairways a lot more, and that's key for him too. But so I don't know. I mean, I don't hate the play. I mean, you know me. I mean, I think I'm kind of shocked to hear you say that you're going to play him, but I don't
I
mind
mean,
it at
and
all.
then here's what you get out of Jordan. Like he's still scoring a lot. If you look at his round, he's making a lot of birdies. He
No,
just
he can score, but
yeah.
then he's going to make a double somewhere that
I think
fits
he's a
his game.
perfect play for a format like this. Like if I'm going to try to jump on Jordan early before he brings it all back together, this is the type of format I would want to do that on. When I'm guaranteed
And
54
you
holes
probably
out.
mentioned this, but I think POA is a really good surface for him, right?
Yeah, I mean he's in this field over the last 100 rounds. He is 15th in the field.
Yeah, so that's good.
Now, obviously,
And
he's a
a
good
field,
putter anyway, but
yeah, but still, I mean, so I'm with you there. The one that surprised me was Jason Day. I can't. So he's one of my plays as well. I didn't think you were going to go Day, and I don't know if I didn't even think he might be chalky. I mean, I know he's chalky from a historical standpoint on this course, but I don't know if he's chalky in a chalky play in general. Like, I mean, we haven't seen him. I mean, he was 4.7% owned at the Farmers. Before that, the OHL back in the fall, he was 6% owned. I mean, he's been low owned like every tournament.
but were people waiting on him? But were people waiting to see what happened at the Farmers where he finished 16th? I mean, because
I don't know. I can tell you this: if I can get him at less than 10% owned this week, I'm all
I'll be
about
thrilled. I think he's going to jump up though. I think he'll be above that.
So I'm with you on him. Sneds was I had him in my fade category for a little bit. I don't really like that price at 10-1. That worries me a little bit. I know he's a course horse and everything.
And he's playing
else,
well. You know, he's playing well. He's a course horse.
But he missed the cut last week. So
yeah, that's not a course for him, man. I tell you, that place is a bomber's paradise. But I mean, before that,
I agree
third
with
at
you
the
there.
Farmers,
This
12th
is a
at the Sony.
course fit.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I like Patrick Cantlay a ton this week at 10-9. I'm okay with paying for him. I cannot freaking talk tonight.
Yeah, you can't. What do you think about him coming over from Abu Dhabi? Didn't he coming over?
No, he played. He played Abu Dhabi. He didn't play Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah, that's right. Saudi Arabia.
He's had a week off.
That's right. He's had a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple.
No, he did not play Saudi Arabia. That was one thing I looked at actually, because when I was looking at him, I was thinking, did he play Saudi Arabia? And maybe I might fade him because of that. But no, he did not. So he's had a week off. I mean, you look at the stats for him. He's obviously checking boxes. I mean, he's fifth.
Not a great POA putter.
He's not.
Say that.
He is. You know, he's fifth in the field in strokes gained approach. Checks the box around the green. Opportunities gained. Par 5 scoring. Great ball striker. I mean, everything about him has been great lately. I think Cantlay is a can't miss play this week.
Okay.
What else do I got for you? I am going to also play, coming off Saudi Arabia, with a third place finish, Phil Mickelson at $9,500.
Okay.
Yep. Get 3 rounds out of him. I'm not worried about. We know he's got the course history. Obviously, he won here last year. I am not worried about the fact that he's coming from Saudi Arabia, and here's why. Phil Mickelson has played this course so many damn times. He does not need. He can play at 9 holes on Wednesday and be fine. He does not need to get all these courses in and play all these practice rounds and do whatever. He's got plenty of experience here. I think he thrives.
It's more about the effect it would have on his body coming from Saudi Arabia, the adjustment.
Well, I'm sure he's back by now. It's not like it takes 80 hours to get back from Saudi Arabia. Maybe it does. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm not a world traveler like you are. You've been to Africa. But I mean, I just don't think the preparation is something that's huge for him this week that he has to have. He obviously performs well on this course. He's done it time and time again. I think he thrives also in the pro-am environment. I mean, he likes hamming it up probably with his partners. He's probably more relaxed, things like that. Checks the box on Poana greens. He is third in the field over the last 100 rounds, putting on Poana. And I like that third place finish last week. I mean, he showed that he's he's playing a little better. I mean, it's not like it was
Okay.
a terrible field. So I like him. And this is where I was talking about in the Open about taking a little bit of risk. And I think he's certainly going to be low owned. So I like some Philly Mick at 9,500. So Cantlay, Mickelson, and Day are my GPP plays. My fade's going to be Cooch. I'm going back to Cooch. I don't like where he's at right now as far as what I've seen from him.
Making top 10s and top 15s, you don't like that? You're not
No,
a big
he's
fan?
not.
You're not a big fan?
No,
Okay,
no, I'm not.
16th at the Waste Management. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
14th
I gotta
at the Tournament of Champions, but that's a 30-man field event. Has not been playing good, and you look at the stats. Let's throw the stats out on Cooch. I mean,
I gotta say, your fantasy golf sommelier article that hit last week. If you're not reading that, people, it's a good read. Pat is shockingly good at it. It's kind of funny. It's informative on alcohol, wine, what have you. But then also the players. Last week you nailed every pick except for a Kuchar fade. You nailed it. So props to you for that. That was good. And you had some pivots on there too. You had some bold calls. So if you guys aren't reading that, you can check that out.
I typically look. I try to make that article not be where I'm just
This is a good article.
going to go with. I'm not going to just pick guys that everybody else is picking. And by Wednesday, I've already been able to see like who I'm, who's everybody looking at on Twitter and whatever else. So, or Tuesday when I try to get it out, but it usually comes out Wednesday morning.
Yeah, it never happens.
But I mean, Cooch was 16th last week, and he was what, 9,500, 9,800. Is that what you want out of that price? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd take a T16 out of a 9,800 guy. Yeah, I would take that.
I don't know. I think you can fade Cooch this week. I'm okay. At his price, I don't like him.
Who's your cash play? Who'd you say was cash?
Who was my cash play?
By the way, our cash plays last week freaking nails. And nobody's on Twitter going, "Hey, thanks guys, I doubled up because of you boys and your cash plays." Like, God, what's going on?
Who was your cash play?
Snedeker.
Oh, I can't get behind Snedeker and cash. Matter of fact, actually, I'll have Paul Casey in cash just above him. Obviously, went down to the wire with Paul Casey last year and Phil Mickelson here at this tournament. I think he's just got like the perfect type game for all of these courses. So I like Paul Casey at 10-5. I think I'll go with him in cash. You do save a little bit of money going down to Snedeker. But there's the guys in that 9K range. I just don't really see anybody that looks like a great cash play to me.
Yeah, I don't know about cash. G-Mac's interesting, but I don't know about him coming from Abu Dhabi. Saudi Arabia. Anybody come from Saudi kind of scares me a little bit. I get that they've got a few days. It's just a lot. But I do like. G-Mac.
I think if there's anybody in this range,
Brandon Grace,
you wouldn't have to worry about from a Saudi standpoint is Mickelson. That guy's been through anything and everything you can think of with traveling for golf. So if you're worried about Mickelson in his traveling, like Victor Hovland last week, yes, you could worry about him from his traveling. As a matter of fact, I got kind of sold on that later.
He's freaking 14 years old. Like, he should be fine.
What are you talking about? Him traveling is way different than Mickelson traveling, who's done it for 30-something years.
I'm just saying Hovland's I'm just saying he's young. Like, that's all. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's move on. 8K range, to me, this was actually definitely the easiest range for me to pick. And I can get down with a few guys that I'm not going to mention, but my two favorites in this range came very clear to me, both at my initial glance, but also when I dug into the numbers. And that is Berger, starting off at 8,900. I've been riding that Berger train, baby, and you're just starting to jump on it. And I think it's, it should be paying off for some of you people. There's another one I guess some people have been talking about Berger, since, I don't know, last week. But, I was talking him up in the fall. I got on him for the MX. He's been low owned. He backdoors a top 10 last week on Sunday. I think Berger is a really interesting play. He's got really good numbers here, tee to green as well, at Pebble and the other two courses. So I think Berger is a great play here at 8,900. Putts well on POA. Then I'm going to drop down to Adam Hadwin at 8,100. Tremendous putter. Also with a really good ball striking record here. And in good form. Berger's also at 40-1 on my bookie. Hadwin's at 50-1 if you want to start off the betting card there. Hadwin is a no-brainer cash play for me. I mean, I would play both of them in cash. I guess I just kind of landed on Hadwin because I went a little heavier with the Snedeker play at 10, whatever he is, 10-1. So from a cash perspective, I felt like going down a little bit. But if you want to play somebody in the 9K and then pair them up with Berger and cash, I don't mind that either. I like both of these guys that much. That was a pretty easy call for me. And then my fade is going to be Cam Champ here at 8,800. Do not like the price for Cam Champ. I would literally take any other player here. And I know Champ's been playing a little bit better. But this is not, even with the possibly cooler temperatures, even with maybe a softer golf course, this is still gonna take driver out of his hand a lot. And he's also historically a wretched scrambler. Strokes gained around the green numbers for him, both in the short term and since he came out on tour, are all in the negative. He's not a good scrambler. If he misses greens here, he's gonna be in trouble. So despite the good form from Champ, I think if you look at those golf courses versus what Pebble is going to present, I'm not a fan of Cam Champ. So I think I think that range is pretty straightforward for me.
Okay, well, Cam Champ is not necessarily, he's been low owned like every single week, so it's not like that's a bold call. But I like the call. It's a good call.
I don't recall saying it was a bold call, but maybe.
Well, I mean, it's just a fade. It's just a fade. But
it's just a fade. I mean, who would be a bold fade in this range? Teach me. Like, who are you going to fade? Kurt Kitayama? Is that your fade?
No, that's that's.
Who's your bold fade here? Who's a bold fade in this?
My bold fade is going to be Rafa Cabrera Bello.
Oh, wow, that's super bold. When's the last time we saw him on the PGA Tour?
That's way more bold than Cam Champ, who
He hasn't played on tour since November. You have no idea, and that was the WGC HSBC. Like, when's the last?
I don't care. He's still like a much bigger name that will probably be higher owned than somebody like Cam Champ, who hasn't been, higher than like 8% owned in the last 10 weeks.
Okay.
Anyway, here's
since you're so good at this, why don't you project ownership on both of those players? I would like to know how closely you think both will be. How close will both be?
Cam Champ will be about.
I'm gonna write this down.
6% owned.
Okay.
And I bet you Rafa Cabrera Bello, based off good history here, he's finished. Let's see. Top 15s in his last 2 starts. A guy with a bigger name, much bigger name as far as worldwide, and a player that's shown that he can play more or play better than Cam Champ from a consistent basis. I bet you Rafa Cabrera Bello is like 11 or 12% owned.
A whopping 5 to 6% difference. Okay.
Maybe even more than
makes
that.
Makes it a bold fade. Okay.
But here's the thing with Cabrera Bello.
I'm going to write that down. Bold fade. Bold fade for Pat.
He is coming off 3 straight weeks, including playing last week at Saudi Arabia, playing overseas, and then flying over here. So this is where I do think it makes a difference. 3 straight weeks overseas, and now he's coming here, and he's going to try to play well. Now, he does have a good history here. He's finished in the top 15 2 years in a row. So I think that actually, no, he hasn't. I'm looking at a different player. He's finished in the top 25 2 years in a row.
Okay.
Anyway, so he will be my fade this week. My cash play is Hadwin. I like him in GPPs as well, so I'm totally with you there. I also like Alex Noren at 8,700. I've been on him all year.
I don't mind that play.
I just think he's a guy that's it's just everybody's looking at last year. He had a bad year, but I think old Noren, he was top 15 at the Amex just a couple of weeks ago. I think this is, you look at strokes gained around the green. He's 4th in the field. He's 8th in the field in par 5 scoring. I like Alex Noren at 8,700 as well. Was that all the picks we needed? Because I like Kiz as well. I think Kiz is a good play this week.
Okay.
Plays this course pretty good. Is 13th in the field in putting on POA, and these short course events. I'm all about some Kiss.
He also is playing with Charles Kelly, and he enjoys playing with Charles. They're good. They're good friends.
Do you think he
so
actually
they enjoy
sneaks some drinks and stuff while he plays with Charles Kelly?
I'm sure he does. Josh just reminded me not to say Lonto Griffin. I promise you, Josh, I'm not saying that. I do want to talk about another player here in this range. Because already on Monday, and I know you pick on me because I'm on the Twitterverse all the time, but I've already seen his name thrown around a little bit, and I don't. I want to caution our listeners, and that is Kurt Kitayama. I understand that Kurt is ranked in the World Golf Rankings maybe higher than some of the folks below him, or maybe even a couple of them above him. But this is a cautionary tale as old as time, and that is the evaluating the level of competition these guys are beating or playing against on a week-to-week basis. To me, is very important, and I don't care if you want this. I'm not being like a nationalist here or whatever you call someone who thinks that their country is the best.
Nationalist,
whatever that
are
is.
Trying to get political.
I'm just saying, like, there is a very big difference in a PGA Tour caliber event, even a weak field, and a European Tour event, or an Asian Tour event, or whatever. There's just a big difference. Not that there are not good players, world-class players in those, but the depth is so different. The depth is so different. And I think when you're looking at a player like this, it's very easy to get caught up in it. But when you look back, now, he may make a fool out of me here, okay? He may make a fool out of me this week, but when you look at his record, Kurt Kitayama, okay, he did play well. He did play well recently, a European Tour event. He played at the Dubai Desert Classic and finished 6th. Wow, that's very good. He finished 6th. Before that, in Abu Dhabi, he finished 34th, okay? So he's making cuts. He's, against a European Tour event. That's good. I mean, you got to do that. But his WGC HSBC appearance, which is his first WGC event he ever played in, he finished 28th. That's not terrible. Out of I think there's 70 people in the field. Not bad. Before that, he played in the Shriners, and he missed the cut. Before that, he did get a chance to play the Open Championship, missed the cut. Before that, he did get into the PGA, finished 64th. Before that, in 2017, he actually played a few tour events. He missed the cut at the Safeway. I mean, let's make sure we're comparing apples to apples here. And for me, if you're going to put him at $8,000 and he's priced above guys that play very regularly on the PGA Tour, and they may drive you crazy and they may be inconsistent, I think 9 times out of 10 I'd rather take, Kevin Na or Scott Stallings or freaking Patrick Rogers, who drives me crazy, or, Scott Piercy, J.B. Holmes, Tom Hoagie, right below, all guys who play regularly, make their cheddar on the PGA Tour playing against the best guys in golf in the world. I think that's important. So at $8,000, I just think it may feel exciting, but I don't think you do it. You know what I mean? I just had to get it.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, you and I have had a lot of conversations too, just with Korn Ferry Tour guys, that they talk about, when we were back here in Savannah for the web.com or Korn Ferry, whatever it was, event, we were talking with some players, and they said that, they thought that even that tour was better than, from top to bottom, better than the European Tour. So just that in itself tells you, as far as talent is concerned, tells you, the difference between, what Kitayama might be playing on versus what these other guys are playing on week in and week out. So yeah. I agree. I think it's a good point to make, and yeah, I'm with you there.
Okay. All right, let's get to the 7K range. This is definitely a little more – this is tougher to nail down really where you want to go. And I got to be honest, between the 7K and 6K range, I'm going to be doing a lot of studying between now and then. Going to try and do some digging because I think come Wednesday night in the Nut Hut, I'm going to need to make some calls and some decisions, especially before I start building lineups or placing bets. But I do think my DB's betting card in the Chalk Bomb email on Wednesday is going to have a good bit of these boys. Like we mentioned, long shot guys can play here. I think there's a lot of potential here. And I think I think tournaments in DFS are going to be won in this range, in this 7K, 6K range. You're going to have to make some tough decisions. So this is a really tough spot. Pat, why don't we do this? Why don't you name one tournament play, and then I'll name a tournament play. We'll go back and forth. We're going to give you 3 GPP plays, 1 cash play, and 2 fades in the 7K range.
All right, so I'll start in the middle here with a guy that you just mentioned is a frustrating guy. He's hard to get, but or to get right. But that's Patrick Rogers at 7,400.
I was about to say, if you were going to say Lonto Griffin, I was about to end the whole thing. We were about to shut it down.
No, I think I'm out on Lonto for right now until he shows me a little something.
God.
But Patrick Rogers is showing me something. You look at his last 4 events; he's made the cut. T38 at the Sony. T64 at the Amex wasn't that great, but then top 10 at the Farmers on a very difficult course in a tough field, and then a top 16 finish last week where he gained 17 strokes, or he's gained 17 strokes on the field over his last 4 events. I mentioned Patrick Rogers. I think I tweeted out maybe Wednesday night. I thought he might be a good first round leader bet, and he started doing okay for me at the beginning, but didn't come through. But those are tough to hit. But this course, he missed the cut last year. But last year was a bad year for Patrick Rogers. I think he's playing a lot better, and he was T8 here in 2018. So I think Patrick Rogers is a good tournament play this week. He's not going to check a whole lot of boxes for you as far as the stats are concerned at all. Other than par 5 scoring, he rips up the par 5s, and that's what he's going to have to do this week again to be up there. But I do like some Patrick Rogers at 7,400. So he is my first tournament play since we're going back and forth. There you go. And
all right.
You had him as a tournament play, you just cross him out and we go to the next thing. So.
I definitely did not. In fact,
Okay,
he may come up in the DraftKings TJ After Dark episode here in a little bit. All right, I'm going to start with my favorite play in the 7K range based on value, on upside, and that is a guy who just finished 8th at the Waste Management, had a great week at the Waste Management, Adam Long at $7,300. Really liking what he did this past week at the Waste Management. He checks a box in POA. In fact, POA is his best putting surface. He won a Pro-Am event last year at the Amex, so, must not bother him too bad. And he's got a pretty good ball striking record here at Pebble Beach in the limited attempts he does have. His iron play right now is very, very solid, and I love the value at 7,300. I really, really like it. Long will very likely make my betting card as well. He is at 125 to 1. Big fan of Adam Long in tournaments.
How does he show up on that stat you just threw out when he missed the cut last year?
What stat?
What did you just say? He shows up on ball striking at this event?
Yeah, only at Pebble. So the ball striking stat I evaluated just Pebble.
He sucked on the other courses.
He didn't take advantage.
ShotLink doesn't.
Correct.
Doesn't have. We don't have the stats on the other courses.
Correct, but that could have been he could have gotten the raw end of a wave or weather. I don't know. But all I know is right now too, his irons are dialed in. He's putting well. I think that value is tremendous. He's already a proven PGA Tour winner at a Pro-Am event. I don't know. I just think it's a really good value. In fact, he is one I'm willing to play in cash. He is also my cash play in this range. So I like me some Adam Long. All right, you're next.
All right, my next tournament play is I'm going to go Sun Kang, 73.
You've been riding the Kang train a little bit here.
I've been riding the Kang train.
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of his lately, and he's been playing well. I think this is a good course for him. You look at his, he's actually let's look at his last few events. Was T52 last week, T16 at the Farmers.
He's a California guy.
Yeah, he's. I just think that this is just a good, solid course for him. He's played it 3 times. He was T17 in 2016. He did miss a cut in 17, but was top 15 last year. So I think Sun Kang is a good play this week. He's 14th in par 5 scoring. He's 8th in ball striking in the field. So I like some Sun Kang at 7,300. So he will be a tournament play for me. There you go.
I like that play. I'm going to skip down. I'm going to skip around a little bit. Another favorite play in this range for me is all the way at the bottom, and that's Cam Tringali, who missed the cut just this past week at the Waste Management. I think I was a little surprised to see that, but his best putting surface
I
by
like some
far.
Tringali. I like this play. I like this play.
Okay, his best putting surface by far against all three is POA. Last week he's on Bermuda at the Waste Management. He lost 2.5 strokes with the putter. He hasn't lost 2.5 strokes with the putter in a while, and so he trunk slams. Which okay, but tremendous ball striker, really good iron player. Checks the box there. Like 7th in the field in strokes gained approach recently. I love the value. It's 7K. I like it. He's also 175 to 1 on my bookie. So I'm trying to give you some guys that, 7,000, 7,300 with long, like some guys that you can work in with, with the studs up top, like you mentioned Cantlay, I mentioned Day, Snedeker. So if you're paying up top, you're going to need some of these guys. So I tried to get into that lower range. So Tringali for me.
All right, my third guy, I'm kind of cheating a little bit here because I could go two ways here as far as cash versus GPP, but that's going to be Scott Piercy at 7,800. You look at his last 3 times playing here, he's top 10 last year, T20 in 2018, T55 the year before that. Checks the box in strokes gained approach, also in opportunities gained, so he's giving himself some chances to make some birdies. I like Scott Piercy at 7,800. The other guy, though, I was going to mention that I was kind of teetering between was Scott Stallings, but he's just a course horse here. I mean, he doesn't always check the boxes for the stats, but the guy has just been unreal on this course. So I think you could look at Scott Stallings as well, either cash or GPP. But between the two, I'm going to go with some Piercy here. I think that, we saw him play well last week with a T6 finish at the Waste Management. Just a guy that I think plays well on courses like this that we're going to get, all 3 that we're going to get this week. I think that he's just super solid. So I will go with Piercy as my third GPP play in this category.
All right. There's a handful of guys in here that I like that we're not going to get to because we're going to try to stick to 3. But one that I think is going to give you a little bit of ownership leverage again at 7,300 is Nick Watney. Watney's got a great record here. He's always been a West Coast guy, despite not being a great putter on POA. He actually loses strokes in every putting category, so he normally doesn't do his damage with putting, but he's a great ball striker, and it shows here. With all the rounds he's played at Pebble, which is a lot, he is 8th in this field in ball striking at Pebble over the last 24 rounds at Pebble. So he's there. Did miss the cut his last time out of the Farmers, but before that, a 29th at the Amex. I think Watney's an interesting play. He's never going to be above like a 5% guy or 6% guy. He's always going to give you some leverage. So I think that's an interesting play. So my 3 tournament plays would be Long, Tringali, and Watney, all on the lower end of that 7K range, trying to give you some salary relief there in DFS. Watney's also 110 to 1 on my bookie. I'm interested in all 3 of those guys potentially in the betting card. My fades, I wrote down 2 fades here. My first fade at $7,400 is Mr. Patrick Rogers. Does not have a great record here in terms of ball striking here, both at Pebble and at Monterey Peninsula. Like absolutely terrible if you look at the ball striking side of it. He does putt better on POA than a lot of surfaces, but that's one
of his best surfaces. He's 33rd in the field in putting.
I see that. Yep. But we also know, like not that he doesn't do well on shorter courses, but I mean Rogers is a long hitter, so you're taking that out of his hand a little bit here, and he definitely has never hit his irons well. So when you're making him hit more iron shots and be more precise, I think I'll take the fade here. And then finally, I was gonna, you may think this is not a bold call, but a guy who's got a really great record here is Jimmy Walker. But I will go ahead and gladly fade him. Not that you're going to get any ownership leverage because he's very likely not going to be high owned, but just sucks off the tee, very unpredictable. Really no good finishes to speak of outside of the 30th place at the Farmers a couple weeks ago, but he gained He gained almost 3 strokes with the flat stick. Hasn't done that since June of last year. And before that, hasn't done it since January of last year. So, the putter pop for Jimmy Walker. I'm sure he's probably comfortable here, but I think I'll pass on J Dub. And I just brought him up just because he does have a record here. He's a former winner. For all the course history buffs that may be looking at Jimmy Walker, I think I'll pass.
All right, so real quickly for me, my fades are going to be, I'm going to go with a guy who's had a hot hand lately, and I guess I like to throw myself out there more than anybody else, and it's going to be JB Holmes at 7,900. I mean, everybody,
JB Holmes
loving some JB lately. He has missed a cut here the last 2 years that he's played here. Obviously, you look at the recent form, it's on courses where his bombing can definitely help him out, but I don't think you're going to see that this year. So, it doesn't matter as much this week. So, I think JB is a fade at 7,900. I think his ownership's going to be a little bit too high, so I will fade him. And then another guy who is a course horse that I like some Kevin Strillman, but I'm going to fade him this week. I don't like him.
Not been playing well. Not been hitting.
Not been playing well. He's made 4 of his last 11 cuts. And the guy has been fantastic on this course. I mean, you look at the last 4 rounds or 4 tournaments here. He's T7 last year, 6 and 18, T14 and 17, T17 in 2016. So I know he's got a great history here. But I just haven't liked how he's played lately. He's not checking any boxes for me as far as the stats are concerned. So I am going to fade some Kevin Strillman at 7,400. So there you go.
All right, 6K range. A lot of names here, too, that we're going to have to narrow down. But a few that I think are interesting. I think your chalky play in the 6K range, but I still like him. I like the way he's playing. I like the upside is Doc Redman. Really like him on the betting market. He's 250 to 1 on my bookie. If you can find a top 5 each way on him or something, I think that would be even better. Another play that I really now Doc Redman's is 6,700 on DraftKings. Another really solid player that we saw pop just a couple weeks ago is Tyler McCumber, who we met at the Corn Ferry event.
Oh!
Yep.
Finished 20. This is the second time in a row, or not the second time in a row. The second time this year, you and I both had a 6,000 guy that we liked. Matt Naismith.
Yeah.
And now it's Tyler McCumber is the other one that we have both agreed on.
I mean, he's playing great. I mean, we saw him at the Farmers. I mean, he freaking beat Tiger the day he got paired with Tiger. He's a tremendous putter. The ball striking has been very solid since he came on.
One of the top scorers, by the way, on the web.com/Corn Ferry Tour last year.
Yep.
So,
I think McCumber.
And you gotta love the McCumber family on the short course.
Of course you do. Yeah. The McCumber family. I didn't know even who that was, but yeah. I think Redmond and McCumber give you a lot of salary relief. I like that. Brian Stewart up at the top is interesting just because he checks so many boxes. It's crazy, but he does. He checks a lot of boxes.
Like 3 cuts in a row.
Huh?
Hadn't he?
What? What'd you say?
Good. Nothing.
No, Brian Stewart is not. He's almost, but he's not. He's just I don't know. Like he strikes the ball well here at Pebble. He's been bad because he can't get the putter straight. The ball striking hasn't been awful, but he just can't get the putter right. So if the putter comes around, Stewart's interesting at 6,900. I'm going to go back to the well with our friend Sebastian Kaplan at 6,700. He's 200 to 1. Loves an event like this, that he can be aggressive, that he can go out and score and go low. He talked about that in the podcast that we had him on. He can score on par 5s with the best of them. He's coming off of a miscut at the Waste Management, but before that, a 21st at the Farmers, a 6th at the Amex. His best putting surface by far has been POA. So, last week he had Bermuda. He missed the cut. The weeks before that, he's doing pretty good. So, I think Seabass is an interesting one. And then finally, I just can't. It's really, I know, man, it's so dirt cheap at $6,400. But Siwoo Kim, I know he shot like an 87 a couple weeks ago at the
God,
what did he do it?
that's scary.
But I mean, he won the damn Players Championship. Like at any given moment, I just at 6,400, like I would just have him if you were like mass entering contests in DFS, you know, if you put him in 6% of your lineups, you'll be double the field like at the worst. So I don't know. Siwoo is just to see that name down there. I don't know how long we're going to be suckers for the fact that he won the Players, and it just seems tempting to put him in when he's that cheap. And you want to talk about upside, but at least for now, I'm still tempted. So there you go. And he finished 4th last year at Pebble. He did finish 4th last year.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Something to think
that
about.
Scares me.
Yeah.
And you make fun of me for a lot of my plays, and you're throwing out Siwoo Kim.
Well, and before he played Pebble last year, he missed the cut at the Waste Management. Now he was definitely in better long-term form before that. As right now, he is not. But I'm telling you, Siwoo at 64 is very enticing, and 275 to 1. Talk about an each way bet. Like, you find yourself an each way on Siwoo at 275 to 1. All right, I'm done.
A lot of people listening right now in their cars on their way to work in the morning just either threw up in their coffee or for some reason they had an epiphany and think that you're the smartest man alive. But anyway, so I will go down, and Tyler McCumber was one that I had. I only had 2 right here, and Tyler McCumber was one. The other one up at 6,900 that I like is Brandon Wu. All right, so this is another. This is a young.
I like that play.
Kind of rookie on tour. I don't know if he hasn't played all the tournaments we've seen like Victor Hovland and Colin Morikawa and all those guys, but this dude is a solid player. I mean, He played, by the way, 35th in the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. This guy just played
California
fantastic.
kid, I think. Yep.
He's played. I want to say, let me look at it for sure. He has played 5 tour events, 4 of those since the U.S. Open, which was his first one that I see here, which he finished 31st. He did 35th. He did miss the cut at the Open Championship, the British Open. Don't call it the British Open.
It's not a British Open, Pat.
Anyway, just kidding. The Open Championship, he was a miscut, but he was 17th at the Houston Open. The OHL, he got in. He finished 55th, made the cut there. Made the cut at the Farmers just a few weeks ago with a 55th place finish there. So I think Brandon Wu could be an interesting play this week at 6,900.
I like that. I like that call.
Mm-hmm. So I like it. Just throw him in a lineup. Definitely tournament play. Don't be putting him in cash.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all I got.
Okay. Love it, Pat. Love it. Let's talk about the Players Championship. We got some news for the players, and it's not just the Skybox news. Let's first talk about the Skybox, Pat. If you are interested in having a ticket on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday to the Players Championship and sitting in a Skybox on number 17, the Island Green, in the air conditioning, which from personal experience we can tell you is very important. It's hot as balls out there.
It is awesome, by the way.
If you would like to sit up there in the air conditioning and get all the alcohol you want and all the food that you want, you can do that. We have a hookup. So if you're interested in that, now listen, there's been a lot of confusion. It is not free, and this is not a contest. This is just we have a hookup, and we know what these tickets cost because we've done it for 2 years in a row. This is a very good deal, and it's $795 per person per day. Okay, we have a very limited amount left, and you can get one for just yourself or you and a couple buddies, however you want to do it. You pick the day, and you can sit up in the Skybox and really enjoy yourself. You can gamble like crazy. That's what we like to do, is bet on who hits the green, closest to the pin, first caddy to get to the green, first guy to stand up out of his chair below you, look as a peasant just laying on the grass or whatever it is. It's a lot of fun, but it's $795 a ticket. If you are seriously interested, email us info@tourjunkies.com. info@tourjunkies.com. Email us if you are interested. You better hurry up. This is our very last week that we're able to offer this. After that, no mas. Also, Pat, I feel like we should tell people our big Players Championship news. Do you wanna break the news there? I'm excited about it. I think we should tell them.
Yeah,
It's a big deal for the DFS community.
It is a big deal for the DFS community. We have been granted access as official media members to the event, to the Players Championship, which we've gone at. Now, look, we've gone to tournaments before as media members. The RSM Classic being the most recent one back in the fall. We went to the web.com event in Savannah, which is obviously my hometown, and it was right in my neighborhood and blah, blah, blah. But this is huge. I mean, the Players' Championship is probably the biggest event that the tour runs all year long.
It is.
Okay? It is the biggest event. And so we've been granted access. So we're going to be there Tuesday and Wednesday getting you all the information. I'm trying right now just to think about conjuring up the nerve to ask, like to be sitting in the press room when Tiger's in there and to ask Tiger a question. Like, I feel like that would be the best content that we could get.
Would you have a boner while you do it?
No, I would not, but I think that would be fantastic.
Maybe like a little roll of quarters in there somewhere?
Maybe. It might perk up just a little bit. But I can't wait to be there for the tournament Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we'll obviously be there probably on the weekend. But I think that it's a great thing for us, for the DFS community. I don't know who else is going to be there, but I feel like we'll probably be one of the few. So it's pretty exciting, and well, a lot of hard work has gone into that, but also it's nice that give credit to the tour for being a little more open to what we're the value and what we're throwing out there, because I think they've figured out that there's some value to what we're doing.
Yeah, and obviously we will be in the Nut Hut on Wednesday evening and late into the evening trying to give you all the information we can give you that we gather. It is a big deal because, yes, it is the biggest event that the tour puts on. And you know what? It just goes to show that the DraftKings PGA Tour relationship means a lot. It's a good step in the right direction. We have been turned down for years for media access because of the DraftKings deal. Like they would literally cite the DraftKings.
They wouldn't even give us a chance. They wouldn't even cited a quick phrase of gambling fantasy and then like F you.
So it is definitely reflective of an advancement in how the tour is approaching DFS and gambling in general. So it's a big thing. That's why I wanted to share it with you guys, let you know. It's exciting. We're pumped. It's going to be great for our listeners, great for Nut Hut members on Wednesday night. We won't reserve everything for the Nut Hut. We'll give out some other free advice, but we will definitely reserve the really good nuggets for the Nut Hut that week. But it's exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's an incredible precedent because if the tour approves us for their biggest event of the year, then why would they not approve us for anything else that we asked for? And again, it's just a breakthrough in DFS because there is no one currently that is a member of the media at a tour event that gives a rat's behind about DFS. So they're not asking the questions that you want asked. They're not talking to the players and evaluating the course and the conditions and the players the way that we want. And so we're like, you know what? For the biggest event of the year, we're going to try to get there and make sure we can do it because old stick in the mud, that's freaking been asking the same dumbass questions for the last 30 years is going to be there, and we'd rather do something different. So it's exciting.
We want to provide you with some good information, and that's going to happen this week. All credit due to look, DB, a lot of work you did. I think it was great. You just did a good job, man. Just setting up the stage for us. I give credit to myself for keeping you in check in the events that we did have media credentials to, because there were a lot of times that you wanted to break the rules, and I said no, it's not time to break the rules. Do I want to walk inside the ropes with Joel Damon, even though we don't have the particular credentials because of media access.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I did. I wanted to walk inside the ropes with Joel Damon. But I said, no, DB. I held you back. I said, even though Joel Damon is lifting the ropes to let us in, I said, no.
That's how scared Pat was.
We don't have that kind of access. We need to follow all the rules, and that's what we did. We followed the rules, and
I feel like what you just did there is you gave me that compliment as a just to set yourself up so that then you could give yourself a compliment. I don't feel like that was all that genuine.
I did. Yeah, it's exactly what I did.
All right, well, moving right along. Let's quick recap of the waste management before we go to just the tip. I mean, what an incredible finish with Webb and Tony. A heartbreaking finish yet again with Tony not being able to close the door. When I saw that 7-footer on the 72nd hole, slightly downhill, sliding, I did not feel great about it. Webb let his nuts hang and sank a couple of bomb putts. I thought that thing was done. I thought it was done on 16. I thought it was done. Quite the finish. The perfect lineup in terms of DFS would have been Webb, Finau, Bubba, Nate Lashley, Scott Piercy, and Max Homa, who has really been turning it on lately. You would have scored 656 points, and you would have spent all your dollars. $50,000 salary cap. Completely spent on DraftKings. That was your perfect lineup. But it was a fun week. I love that tournament. You see a lot of comments that say, like, why isn't every tournament like this? Why don't every tournament have a 16? You know, like, that's probably not what you want. You know what I mean? It's like too much of a good thing. You know what I mean? Like,
it's appreciate what you have with this tournament.
Yeah.
And then move on to the next one. Not every golf tournament is going to be like that. It's just
it would probably annoy the crap out of you if every tournament was like this. Like, and I will say, of all the PGA Tour events,
like it either.
Yeah, of all the PGA Tour events year round, the closest setting that you're going to get to 16 is 17 at Sawgrass. That's probably the closest setting you're going to get. We've been there 2 years in a row. That's the closest setting you're going to get. If you want to go to, but I mean, obviously the waste management is its own beast. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, but you don't have people like yelling as they're hitting tee shots on 17. I mean, it's a great atmosphere, and it's fun.
Yeah,
but it's not like I haven't been in the waste management, but I've seen plenty of it where it's totally different. So
yeah. Anyway, it was a good event. Cool to see the Kobe tributes, and I thought the tour did something out of the box that was like spur of the moment and spontaneous with the 24 on. 8 from the left, pin location on 16.
Cool
that was really cool to see. Like, man, good on the tour because like Paul Tesori said like that is not a pin location we've ever seen. So for the tour to get kind of outside the box there and do something different, I think speaks a lot because they don't really get out of the box other than something like that very often. So. That was cool to see. Obviously, Finau and his tributes to Kobe were awesome. Just gutted for him to not pull that out, man. Absolutely gutted. I think he's going to do it, though. He's going to do it. So,
well, Pat? I was upset, of course, because I looked at him Friday night on my bookie, and he was 28-1, and he was not well back, but I mean, he played fantastic on Saturday. What was he, 9 or 10 under? He got himself into the tournament, into the lead. And that's the cool thing I think about betting, by the way, on these events is like one of my favorite ways to bet on these events is looking at these guys on Friday night, maybe looking at these guys that are maybe 5-6 shots back, but they're in that 28-1, 35-1 range, and they could go low on Saturday, and then you never know what's going to happen. I think I like your plays and the first round leader bets and all that kind of stuff, but I think looking Friday night at some of these guys is kind of fun. And I think you did it with Webb, and he was 16-1, which is not your favorite. You don't like that short of odds, but I mean, you bet a little bit
paid
more
off,
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet maybe like a couple units, 2-3 units on it, and then go from there, and it pays off. So I think that's kind of fun to do, but it was disappointing for me because I had some units on Finau, but that sucked. But whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, the live thing is fun to do. And sometimes that's it's a good way to hedge if you whiff on everything else pre-tournament and you don't really have any dogs in the hunt.
That's a great point. Whenever I'm like I don't have all 6 of 6 lineups, which is a lot, and then I'm like totally out of it, or I don't know if I'm going to have a good chance on my DraftKings lineups. I like looking at Friday night plays. I'm like, all right, at least give me something to root for on Sunday. Okay.
Well, I had Byung-Hun An written up in the chalk bomb as a 2-unit 66-1 spend. So I did have a dog in the hunt with An, and I kind of felt like he could come around. But I am glad that on Friday night we did the Webb Simpson 16-1 hit just because it kind of helped me wash out the week. And then I used that to turn around.
Pay attention to our Twitter account.
Yeah, and then I used that money and turned around and bet on my bookie had would there be butt cleavage shown by J-Lo during the halftime show, and I hit the yes on that, knocked that out.
Fantastic. Great bet.
So yeah, I won some money in the Super Bowl. Anyway, there you go. People are asking what bookie do we use? We use mybookie.ag. I don't even know why. What are you doing? Mybookie.ag. That's where we go. Promo code Tour Junkies gets you a 50% deposit bonus right now if you use it. And we've got our Masters contest. So right now, update on the Masters contest. There are 3 entries into our Masters contest that qualified all 2 weeks ago. No one got an entry for the Waste Management or last week. All 3 entries came from the farmers. They hit Mark Leishman bets to make entries. But here's how you do it. We are giving away $500 in Masters swag. We will go to the Augusta National Pro Shop, shop for you, spend $500 on your behalf, and ship it to your door. And here's how you got to do it. You either have to have already signed up for MyBookie through our promo code, or if you haven't, you go ahead and do it. You deposit at least $50 into that account. And then for every bet that you hit between now and the week before Masters, that you hit over 20-1, minimum $5 bet minimum, you get an entry. Send us a screenshot when that bet hits. You get an entry into the Masters contest. Like I said, so far, 3 entries. That's it. So, if you hit, you got a good chance. 3 entries right now. So head over to mybookie.ag, promo code Tour Junkies. That's how you do it. Pat, let's button this bad boy up with our segment tonight, Just the Tip.
Just the Tip. We should have like a song for that.
Well, we have a graphic, but we do, Pat. You should pay attention. All right, Just the Tip is a segment where me and Pat give you guys a tip on DFS or betting. Tonight, we're going to focus on Fantasy National because we've used Fantasy National for years. There's obviously a lot of features that Fantasy National has. But there are also a lot of things that are little intricacies, things that you could be aware of if you've used it before, but a lot of things that maybe you're not quite aware of that you can do at Fantasy National. So we thought we would talk through a couple of the things that we really like about Fantasy National in terms of little tips to use and things that you may not be aware of. So Pat, I will let you kick it off. I'll button it up and we'll get out of here.
All right, so I'm going to start with a couple things here. So the first thing I really like to do, and that is clicking on the actual player themselves. So everybody wants to break down stats and, go last 24 rounds, last 34, whatever it is, 36, 100 rounds, whatever. And then you get stats, and it does give you some good recent stats and recent form and things like that. But click on the actual player, and then you get a better breakdown. You get how they putt on a specific surface, versus, like bent, Bermuda, POA, that kind of stuff. And I think that's important. Like you look, like I'm pulling up Patrick Rogers, who you don't like this week. The first thing that pops up is his ownership over his last 5 tournaments, where he was 2.1% owned at the Waste Management, 1% at the Farmers, so very low owned over the last 4 or 5 tournaments that he's played on. I like to see that. I like to see where's his ownership over his last 5 weeks or so. So I think that's important. Then you get to go, you can drill down further and see what his strokes gained stats look like, off the tee, approach, everything, his putting. You look at his last 4 events, his putting has been fantastic, and that's what's been really been, kind of been great for him. So I think it's just like if you just click on the player and you can drill down and you can go all the way back, like, I mean, for Patrick Rogers, it goes back to 2012. You can look at events and things like that and how he's done, strokes gained stats. So just don't like overlook actually clicking on that player's name and getting some individual stats there. The other one I want to talk about is wind. Okay, so DB, I know you like to talk about wind players, guys that are good in the wind. All right. Sometimes I don't even know what that means. But damn if Fantasy National doesn't have it figured out. And they can tell you like how guys do in windy conditions. Okay? So you look
Yes, they
at
can.
Pebble Beach in general. Pebble Beach this week, we talked about it earlier on the podcast. I don't think it's going to be that windy. But if I want to look at it, let's just say that it's predicting, the weather is predicted to be kind of windy. What am I, how am I going to look at my players, judge the stats and things like that? Well, Fantasy National does that. So if you look at if you want to throw in moderate wind conditions, that's 10 to 18 miles per hour according to Fantasy National. So 10 to 18 miles per hour. You go in there, you click that button. Where is it? Wind, moderate conditions. And then you can see how do your players that you're looking at in your across the board, whether it's the entire field or in your pool, how do they feel? How do they do in wind conditions, in moderate wind conditions? That's 10 to 18 miles per hour. Okay, well let's talk about windy AF, which is what I love because that means windy as fuck. And windy as fuck means it's over 18 miles per hour. So if you're wondering, if you're going to Fantasy National, like, what the hell does windy AF mean? Well, we know what AF means because I just said it very loudly. But it's 18 miles an hour and over, and 18 plus, those type conditions. If I want to know, if I'm looking at the course this week, and I look at the weather, and I see that the wind is going to be windy AF, meaning 18 miles an hour plus, I'm going to throw that in the stat category here. I'm going to check that box, and I'm going to see how these guys do in that. So there you go. It's a great thing to look at.
I do
There is no site in this world that could show you that.
Yeah, so I mean they get the measured rounds from the wind averages, and they can accumulate all that and tell you who's really good in the wind and who's not. I think it's a cool thing. Daniel Johnson on YouTube asked a great question: does Fantasy National have stats on Pat's picks when he's wearing a visor or not wearing a visor? I think that would be very interesting. I think that would be an interesting angle. We'll send a note to Moose and see if we can work that in. I like that, Pat. I like that. I am going to talk about one feature that is new to Fantasy National that I kind of like here, new over the last couple months. If you are into building lineups and using like optimizers, things like that, for mass entry, contests, whatever, they have a new thing called player groupings on Fantasy National. So here's how you can apply it. A couple different ways I like to apply it. You can take 4 players. Let's say you take Jason Day, Brandt Snedeker, Jordan Spieth, and Patrick Cantlay for this week. You can take those 4 players at the top and go, all right, I want to generate 100 lineups, and in 100 lineups, I want at least or only 2 of those 4 to be in each lineup. 2 of those 4 have to be in each lineup, and it will build your lineups for you and optimize them with that arrangement. Go down to the bottom and go, all right, I'm going to be real disciplined. I'm going to pick 2 duds this week. I'm going to go with Adam Long and Tyler McCumber, and I want 50 lineups, and I want at least, I want only one of those players in every single lineup. That would be foolish to do. Don't do that. But let's just say you wanted to do that. You can run the optimizer, and it will build those lineups as such. If you want to say, hey, I want to build a really solid core of these 4 guys in the upper 7K and 8K range, and I want them in every single lineup, and I want 30 lineups. It will do that for you. So the player groupings, I think, are pretty cool, where you can just literally say, I want these players, and I want to put these rules on how you build the lineups. I think that's a really cool new feature of the lineup builder. So Fantasy National, it's getting better and better by the minute. FantasyNational.com/TJ is how you get the 20% off. And that is just the tip for improving your process over on Fantasy National. Pat, good show. My tequila glass is empty. We have DraftKings After Dark to go and record right now. It's time to upload this bad boy and go refill the glass. And I'll see you on DraftKings YouTube page for Tour Junkies After Dark.
Sounds good, David.
Okay, buddy. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks, everybody, for watching on YouTube. We appreciate it. Don't forget, sign up for the Nut Hut. Let us know if you're interested in the Players' Championship Skybox. We literally have like 5 of those left. And get in on that Masters contest for my bookie. May your screens be green for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. DB here. See ya!
Tour Junkies.